Hello Zimbabwe and welcome to Women's Roundtable, a platform where we discuss issues affecting women. We're coming to you live from Studio 7 at the Voice of America in Washington, and I'm your host, Marvelous Mhlanga-Nyahuye. And today we're discussing gender-based violence in Zimbabwe and efforts being made by government in collaboration with the United Nations and other non-profit organizations to combat it. The government says it is committed to eliminating gender-based violence as this remains a top priority in order to empower women and girls. This came out at the official launch of Women at the Center project in Zimbabwe, which will help women in accessing the necessary resources after reporting abuse cases. Addressing people attending the event in Harare, Women's Affairs Minister Monica Mutsvangwa said the government is engaging men and women in fighting gender-based violence. She also spoke on the sidelines of the event to Studio 7's Rutendo Mawere.
Mastatistics zvinotonyanyorwadza ndezvokuti basa riri kuitwa pamwe chete neministry nema-CSOs nema-development partners tiri kuramba tichiona nhamba dze-GBV dzichikwira. Ndosaka taakuti iye zvinezvi taakuda kunyanya kutaura nevarume, tiri kutaurawo nema-chiefs. Munozviziva kuti madzimambo ndo vanogara nevanhu, they are the custodians of the people. Munozviziva kuti ma-religious leaders vane influence yakawanda nevanhu vavanogara navo. Saka taakutaura tiri pamwe chete because dambudziko iri haripere neministry yangu chete, asi rinotopera takabatana nevakawanda tese senyika kuti tiripedze. Asi chatofanirwa kuziva kuti kana tikarega kusunungura madzimai panyaya dzedambudziko dze-GBV, tikarega kusunungura vanasikana vedu padambudziko re-GBV, kubudirira kwenyika kunotora nguva refu.
That there was Women's Affairs Minister Monica Mutsvangwa speaking to Studio 7's Rutendo Mawere in Harare. Miranda Tibofo, head of the United Nations Population Fund in Zimbabwe, told Rutendo Mawere that 1 in every 5 women in Zimbabwe has experienced some form of gender-based violence.
GBV is prevalent in Zimbabwe. I think you heard from the speech of the minister. One in 3 to 5 women in this country has actually experienced gender-based violence. Whether it's psychological, whether it's economic, whether it's legal, one way or the other, 1 in 5 women in this country that have actually they have actually been affected by gender-based violence, and something that they call it a pandemic. So if it's a pandemic and you know what it means, it's a big issue. And that's why in her speech she talked about the engagement of all actors, multi-sectoral approach to respond to this issue. We need even the media in terms of carrying the message that we're talking about. We need the men. She gave the example of going to communities where they just came from a study tour. Men are playing a critical role to address the gender-based violence. So it's a multi-sectoral approach. The ministry cannot do it alone. We need a collective approach of all stakeholders, civil society, other line ministries, the media, and every person. So that is the issue.
That was Miranda Tibofo, head of the United Nations Population Fund in Zimbabwe, speaking to Rutendo Mawere in Harare. Rutendo also spoke to the head of Musasa project, Vimbainache Mutendereki, who had this to say.
Kana chitaura pamusoro pema-statistics egender-based violence tiri kuti inyaya yekuti tiri kuona over 39,000. If we're looking at the year 2023, last year, semsasa tega takasangana nemacases over 39,000. Saka tiri kuona kuti inyaya ichiri yakapararira zvakanyanyisa muZimbabwe.
Mungati madzimai anonyanyoruzhongwa nanani mumacases amakatarisa kurapira?
Zvinorwadza pamusoro pe-gender-based violence muZimbabwe ndezvekuti madzimai ari kunyanyisa kushungurudzwa yatinoti home setting. Angava murume, vangava baba, ingava hanzvadzi, vangava sekuru, yatinongoti family. Tiri kuona kuti ndo mairi kunyanyoitika gender-based violence. Tichiti case management, tiri kuti mudzimai paari kuripota kana kuti kutaura kuti ndasangana nenyaya yegender-based violence, nyaya yake iri kubatwa sei, kubva paari paatangira kusvika paanogumira nyaya yake nemaprocesses ese achapfuura nemari. Tikuda kuona kuti abatwa zvakanaka, abatwa nerukudzo nenzira isingaita kuti aite yatinoita retraumatization, kuona kuti mudzimai uyu awane service yakanaka yaanga achinyatsotarisira here.
That day was the head of Musasa project, Vimbainashe Mutendereki in Harare, speaking to Studio 7's Rutendo Mawere. Meanwhile, Zimbabwe's ambassador to Washington, Thaddeus Chifamba, has urged Zimbabweans living in the diaspora to invest back home. He made this call at an investment summit held in Washington last night, held in conjunction with WestProp, a Zimbabwean-based property investment company.
Most of the Zimbabweans that we meet here who are diaspora Zimbabweans really want to invest into housing and even to construct their own homes, but they are facing challenges every time that they send money to friends and relatives. That money is not directed to the intended purposes. So bringing in reputable realtors helps to build the confidence of Zimbabweans and to ensure that the money that is sent into investments into housing is used in the proper way. And WestPro today was showcasing some very high quality products which should appeal to our diaspora Zimbabweans.
But we see that some members of the Zimbabwean government are on the sanctions list. Will this not affect those Zimbabweans that want to invest in the country?
No, this will not affect those Zimbabweans who want to invest in the country. In fact, we have it now in black and white from the American government that American investors, including our diaspora investors, are free to go into business with non-sanctioned Zimbabwean entities. And this will not affect any movement of monies or any payment transactions.
What about the issue of now getting their money out of Zimbabwe when they have an investment?
Well, the government of Zimbabwe has created ring-fenced facilities to ensure that new investments where new money, foreign currency is coming into the country, they can invest via the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange, and I'm happy that WestPro is listed on that stock exchange, and there should be no foreign currency risk or any risk at all in terms of repatriation of funds.
That day was Zimbabwe's ambassador to Washington, Thaddeus Chifamba. Some independent economic analysts have, however, urged the Zimbabwean government to review some of their economic policies before urging Zimbabweans in the diaspora to invest back home. Speaking at the event, WestProp head Ken Sharp said his company hopes to attract Zimbabweans living in the diaspora who wish to return home after retirement or own investment properties.
Well, we're here in the capital to announce the launch of a new product that we call the Hills Lifestyle Estate. It's our most exclusive offering to date. It's a $280 million project. It's the first time in sub-Saharan Africa that we have branded residences. So we're building not only a luxury estate, a golf course, a PGA Championship golf course on 127 hectares, but we're also building a luxury 5-star hotel that has branded residences attached to it.
Mm-hmm. But as you come here to the United States, we know that some members of the government are under sanctions. Won't this affect some of the business that you're trying to do with Zimbabweans here in the diaspora? Absolutely not.
You know, the sanctions on Zimbabwe are called smart sanctions or targeted sanctions. So there's actually a very small number of people that they affect. In fact, J.W. Oliver, who's here tonight, the CEO of ZimWorks, he's an American citizen investing in Zimbabwe, creating 1,000 jobs for Zimbabweans. So sanctions don't affect private sector. And also, while you're here at the moment, we saw a lot of Zimbabweans asking questions, especially the youth. We also see the government has just introduced a tax on property. Won't this affect those that want to invest? Look, I think the tax is a bad thing, and we're lobbying for its removal. There is talk in government that they are going to adjust it so that it's only applicable on secondary homes, not primary homes, and the threshold, they have to raise it, right? So they can't just tax everyone. We're hoping they're going to raise it to $500,000 and above. Talking about, the operating environment in Zimbabwe, some people say it's very difficult unless if you know somebody. So what's your take on that? I think it's like everywhere. It's who you know, right? It's not what you know. And I think if you're an investor coming into Zimbabwe, definitely work with the right people, get to know the people, make sure that your relationships are good, make sure that you have people on the ground to hear exactly what's happening on the ground. But I also think that it's important to realize that you can come into Zimbabwe and invest in so many different sectors. We've just had the biggest lithium find in the continent, with the biggest lithium reserve in Africa. One mine alone, they just found 100 million tons of lithium.
That there was West Prop head Ken Sharp speaking to Studio 7 in Washington on the sidelines of the summit. Please stay tuned as we take a brief break.
In times of change, when the world seems uncertain and what we hear doesn't reflect what we see, we seek the truth. When we are told only part of the story, we lose trust. In moments of crisis, our dreams, hopes, and wishes for a better tomorrow depend on a free press. At Voice of America, we bring you the stories that people take risks to see. We connect the world and unite it with truth. At Voice of America, we show you the whole picture.
For those that have just joined us, please note that we are streaming live on all our Facebook pages, VOA Shona, VOA Studio 7, and VOA Ndebele. We are also live on YouTube at VOA Zimbabwe. Today we're discussing gender-based violence in Zimbabwe. To discuss this issue, we are joined by social worker Peace Hungwe and Padare's Jonah Gokova. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Studio 7. Thank you, viewers.
Thank you, thank you. I can hear Mr. Gokova very clearly. Let me just try to hear Ms. Hungwe. How are you?
How are you, Mr. Martinez? How are you, viewers? Thank you for having me on the program.
Thank you so much. Ms. Hungwe, you're down there in Mutare, but there was a big conference that was in Harare where they were discussing gender-based violence, and we understand Musasa Project was saying they alone this year got 39,000 cases of gender-based violence since 2023 reported to their offices. What are you seeing on the ground?
Thank you so much. Yeah, cases of gender-based violence of men have gone on the rise. A lot of women are experiencing this. And so for us to really tackle this matter, we need to understand what are the causes of gender-based violence. So we see that poverty is the key driver of gender-based violence. So if we look at our status economically, we see that a lot of people are struggling. So men are now attacking their women, they are getting misplaced anger on the women because maybe things are not going on well financially. They are not trying, they're trying to balance as much as the economy is concerned. So really, issues of gender-based violence are on the rise everywhere.
Thank you very much. I'll come to you now, Mr. Gokova of Padare. We heard the Minister of Women's Affairs there, Amai Muchangwa, saying that they've started engaging men and chiefs and headmen and Masabuku to find out how, we can close this rising gap of gender-based violence. What's your take?
I think that for now, the ministry is doing a good job. We need to engage men, particularly who are leaders, so that we find a way out. We have a serious problem, which is national in character, but it can be resolved by ensuring that men are engaged to find ways of ending this gender-based violence. It's national. You find it in poor communities. You find it in affluent communities. It's all over. But with the right attitude, it can be ended. I think, and the best way to start it off is by engaging men. wherever they are, whether they are in business, whether they are in religious groups, whether they are in traditional organizations. We need to engage them. That's what Padare is there for.
Tiri papo vagokova kune varumewo timbopinda murimi rwamai pane varumewo here vari kurohwa mudzimba umu
matotaura izvozvo isusu we are a men's organization tinozviti isusu tiri an anti-sexist men's organization tinoda kupedza udzvanyire varume kuvakadzi kubhinya varume kuvakadzi but takuona manje kuti pane varume vakuuyawo kwatiri vari kutiwo tiri kurohwa tikudzvanyirirwa tikushayiswa mukana muupenyu vatakutaura tanga kuzobatsirawo izvozvi but tiri kuti tichibatsira varume ivavava ngatirambe takafokasa on nyaya yekuti varume tinogona kupedza udzvinyiriri hwatiinahwo sei kumadzimai ubhinya hwatiinahwo sei kumadzimai but haticharamba manje kuti hakuna varume vari kushungurudzwa variko and tatomushishi yekuvaka kamusasa kedu kanobatsira varume vari kushungurudzwa vanouya kwatiri vogara nesu totaura navo tovachengeta but nyaya iripo hombe ndeyekuti gender-based violence is largely about varume vari kushungurudza madzimai.
And what would you say are the major drivers of gender-based violence, looking at, the current situation in the country? What would you say really from your observations and the studies that you have done? We saw them, Sasa, coming up and saying since 2023, their office alone has had 39,000 cases of gender-based violence. What's causing this?
Varume largely zvanhasi economy yauraya chinhu chinonzi murume but also so varume havachaziva kuti chii chinonzi kuva munhurume. Iwe uchiti kana wasvika kumba maschool fees akabhadharwa hauna mari yacho, chingwa choda kutengwa hauna mari yacho, upfu uda kutengwa hauna mari yacho. So it's an economic situation yatinayo iri a big driver inokonzeresa gender-based violence. But also tikuti sisi ngatiunganidzai varume titange kutaura tiita redefine chinonzi munhurume, and zvinoreva kuti tatova nebasa rakakura sevanhurume kuti tidzidzisane kuti unogona kuva munhurume sei even usingaunze shingwa kumba but usingavewo violent mumhuri yako. Ichallenge yatinayo yakakurisa.
And also we, from the discussions we had there, the United Nations saying that 1 in every 5 women in Zimbabwe is getting abused somehow, be it mentally, physically, socially, economically. Do people really understand the different types of abuses that they can be?
I understand and I believe in the statistics that are coming out. The situation is so bad. There was a time when we were saying women are the victims and survivors. But we are also beginning to discover that men are also the victims and survivors in a way. Because if you are a perpetrator of violence, you are also a victim. If you are on the receiving end of violence, you are a victim. Saka, we are dealing with a situation that is involving both men and women who are in a situation where they are trying to find out, how do we get out of this situation? So it's a big crisis for both women and men. And I think this is the time when we need to call on both women and men to find a solution. But I think largely it is caused by the economic situation that we are in at the moment in Zimbabwe.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hungwe. I understand you're back on the line. How are you, ma'am?
I'm fine, Marvelous.
Yes, if you can just, I think her line is very difficult. She's out in Mutare. We've just lost her there, but while we've still got Mr. Gokova today, it looks like I understand. Anyway, let's see what we can, what people are actually posting on social media as we continue with our shows. As you know, this is a live show. So sometimes calls will drop, but let's see. We have Tenda Igutu Argu say evening Tetemavi, and I understand I have a caller. Hello, caller Makadi. Aiwa tiri wadi tukutaura nani muri kupi caller? Alright, muri kuona sei nyaya iyi iri kutaurwa kuti uwandu hwemadzimai ari kushungurudzwa mudzimba huri kuti wandei munyika. Mungati chii chiri kukonzera kuti zviimire zvakadai?
Kushungurudzwa kuita madzimai munyika medu aichiriya nhamo nyika medu aitambudzika zvizhinji.
Muri kuti zvinhu zviri kuti netsei munyika pari zvino ndo zviri kunyanya kutambudza vanhu vazhinji. Alright, saka imi semaonero enyu hurumende iri kuita zvakakwana here mukuedza kuti dambudziko iri regender based violence risawanikwe richitekeshera? Aiwa, pakanaka. Saka imi kwamuri ikoko kukambuzuma tiri kuona tine vepadare panapa vari kuti vamwewo varume vari kushungurudzwawo. Muri kuonawo zvakamira sei? Pane varume here vari mungati vari kushungurudzwa muZimbabwe? Vanonyara kutaura kuti vashungurudzwa. Ehe, saka mune muchikurudzira kuti chii kana murume achinge ashungurudzwa? Nokuti tinoona kuti kazhinji kacho pane vamwe vanotozowanikwa vachitora upenyu hwavo, nyanya varume, nekuti vanenge vachitya kutaura zvinenge zviri kuitika mudzimba. Pane zvamuri kumboona here zvakadai zviri kuitika kwamuri ikoko?
Bazaya mukurangwa izvi varume ndivanoziva vachitaura zvinashwedza vadini ndonenge vachitaura kuti ndingana kurekerera.
Aiwa, tinotenda chaizvo mukoma. God knows. Thank you so much, caller. You have a blessed day. Hello. Yes, thank you. Mr. Gokova, I think we still have you on the line, but we've lost our other caller, Ms. Hungwe. She's out there in Mutare, so maybe the lines are bad. You heard what the caller just said there. What's your view?
Varume vari kushungurudzwa ngavarege kunyara kubuda pachena. Isusu vakauya kupadare hativasveredzi, tinovatsvagira rubatsiro. Ikozvo izvi tine macenters tatanga neHarare atiri kucreata anonzi male wellness centers anobatsira varume vanoshungurudza nevanoshungurudzwa kuti tione kuti togona kuvabatsira sei. Varume ngavarege kunyara, budai pachena muuye nekupadare totaura nemi kuti ndezvipi zvatogona kuita kuti tikunde dambudziko ratiinaro. Inenge tiri mhosva yenyu, inenge tiri mhosva yemadzimai, but inenge iri nyaya yekuti takakura sei. It's about social construction. It's about how we were taught to behave. Sevarume madzimai okuti vakakura vachinzi vanofanira kuva sei. Saka we understand that those roles atati nawo kare evarume nevakadzi ari kuchinja, and zvinobatsira kuti tisangane pamwe chete tione kuti tinokunda sei dambudziko ratinaro, kuti hausisiri breadwinner hazvirevi kuti hausisiri murume, unoramba uri murume, but mudzimai wako anofanira kuzwisisa kuti anobatsira sei kuti urambe uri munhu anonzi murume asingachinje. Saka ndo dambudziko ratinaro iroro rekuti tikabatana pamwe chete tese tori kunda.
Aiwa, thank you so much. There is a Mai Denzel who's live streaming with us on our Shona page. Mai Denzel, we're trying to call you. So if you see your call, please pick up. We also have Visions Muchacha who's watching with us. Mai Denzel, we're trying to call you. She's saying that nzara ndiyo iri kukonzeresa nzara tete. So Mai Denzel is actually saying, you know, poverty and also lack of things like food in the home. This is what is causing some of these, the increase in gender-based violence, especially on women. And then there's Trust Sibanda, who's here, who also wants us to call him. So we'll be trying to call you. I'm not sure if we still have Hungwe on the line, but if Mai Denzel, if you see our call, please pick up. We are trying to call you as we move on with our program. I'll come back to you again, Ms. Gokova. So you talked about some workshops that you have on men who actually perpetrate gender-based violence. What do you teach men in these workshops so that those who are out there who are listening are men and have been beating up on their wives, significant others, family, can learn? Mr. Gokova?
I keep on emphasizing the fact that we should not leave men out of this problem, because men are experiencing difficulties and pressures and fighting because of the economic situation that we have. But I think that we can also count on men as people who can bring on the table solutions to the problem so that we have healthy families. It is possible it can be done, and it should be done. Not tomorrow, but even yesterday. So for those who are excited about the idea, let's come together. Padare is available to work with men, and we also have organizations that are working with women so that we end this problem.
There are some people here who are following the stream who are saying, where do they find Padare?
They are saying,
where can they reach Padare in case, you know, they would like to learn some of the classes that you're teaching, especially men who abuse women?
Oh, that's a good idea. Unfortunately, I don't have the contact details here, but if they go on Google, the Google Padare Men's Forum on Gender, in the valley we call it Enkundleni, Padare Enkundleni Men's Forum on Gender. You'll get all our details there, because we have just established my emergency call lines.
Thank you so much.
Men can call.
Thank you very, very much. And that brings us to the end of our show. Signing off in Washington, I'm Marvelous Mhlanga Nyahuye.